Welcome to another episode of Tech Unhinged, where we dive into the raw, unfiltered world of technology, innovation, and the incredible people driving the change. I'm Usher, and today we're exploring the impact of cloud computing or for SMBs and SMEs. Joining me is Joseph Damian, Director of IT at Franklin Empire. He leads the company's technology, strategy, infrastructure modernization, and cybersecurity posture. With over 25 years in IT, he has driven business critical transformations across telecom, banking, legal services, and distribution, helping organizations modernize operations, generally and unlock measurable results. Great to have you on the podcast, Joseph.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so you've lived the full evolution of IT, right? So from big server rooms to now clouds and, literally clouds and automation. What was one of the things that kind of made you realize that, hey, there has been a strategic shift that has happened, in the last two, three decades almost, and we can't really keep doing IT the old way.
Yes, yes, indeed. So, yeah, exactly. So I started on a very, very junior level 27, 28 years ago in the IT field. I started from a very old technology and then follow all the technology one after the other. The reason why you need to move forward or move from a traditional IT setup to hybrid cloud strategies or go more with the technology, many points that drove all IT leaders to follow those shifting change from one technology to another technology. First, we're talking about the cost optimization, for example. This is something that every company take in consideration. The scalability that is in need, the flexibility of in deployment, for example. It's way different, way easier when you deploy on a cloud than on from the old technology. Now we have something called the DR, disaster recovery, that was improved. This is something very practical and very safe for all enterprises that anything happen, you can recover in a
Right.
fast, depends your DR and depends your connection and everything. Faster innovation cycles, talking about, let's say, the need for better performance and availability. So when you shift from the old or the traditional IT to the modern one, performance wise, it's very important with all the applications that we're using nowadays, with all the solutions that we have in place, and definitely security posture improvement is way better than what it was before.
Right. So I think one of the major shifts really started happening when any consumer could now very easily launch an application, just setting up a easy system or an instance and then be able to scale it as well, right? So he or she, that person doesn't really need to worry about where to get the
Exactly.
hardware from. They don't even have to have a knowledge on that front. So I guess that was what I feel the one of the biggest shift or transitioning that kind of took place, right? And obviously organizations now typically have to worry less about setting up DS sites, setting up backups, because that kind of automatically gets managed for you as well. So,
Yeah.
I mean, on a personal note, how did you kind of start your career in the IT? I mean, what was it? Was it just by pure luck, or you actually wanted to get into this space?
When you see the whole world is changing around you and you see the technology is faster than what we think it is, you have no choice. You have to put your feet on the ground and you have to follow the train, though. You have to grab this train and
Right.
follow whatever other companies are in front of you, or you start to feel that you are started to for being behind them a little bit, so you need to catch up with them. So yeah, this is something that especially in IT, especially in technology, there is no way to sit and just watch what other people are doing. It's just you need to be ready and up to anything comes in, and then you have to catch up with all the technology that it's really faster than the years that going fast, and the technology is faster than whatever we're going through.
Just when we kind of talk about the impact of cloud, for SMBs, SMEs, or even enterprises, so organizations managed in general. What does that really look like in business terms?
So that's the thing. Nowadays, you have the three big titles, which is private cloud, hybrid cloud, and you have the public cloud. The public cloud is very known that all Amazon, Google, Microsoft, those clouds are called as a public clouds, and they are the first one who stepped into the cloud world. They were able to shift all this, what we were talking about, from one word to another word in IT. But then, things move forward. They created something called private cloud, that vendors and companies, that they have their own data center, they have their own cloud, depending where they are hosting it, if they're hosting on the public cloud or they're hosting on their private data center. So this is where the competition started between those two. And then something else came in, which is the hybrid cloud, that it is shifted between two portions when you have the cloud and you have on-prem. This is where big companies who can afford this type of environment, and it's very important and very practical to be in this type of hybrid as a hybrid cloud, that you can prioritize the whatever you want to put on the cloud, and whatever is more important for you, you want to keep it on-prem. Don't forget, there's still a lot of professionals like me. They're still attached into something called on-prem, that they can feel
Right.
better when they feel their data is sitting near them,
Yeah.
and they can see their servers and they can hear their servers, that they feel more comfortable security wise, than rather than put all your environment on the cloud, that you don't see, you don't hear nothing, and you have no control. That was before. Now things are moving, like I said, faster, and now you have control for your cloud. But before, it's like unknown. Your cloud, your servers are sitting on the cloud, but you have no way to try to control whatever you want to do. This is, it's a strategy that the private cloud they use to keep the clients locked in. This is the main three big keys of cloud that now we are in.
Right. How do you choose which one to go with? I mean, what would be some of the factors that would influence that, okay, in this case, a private cloud is okay. In this case, we really need in this case, a public cloud is okay. In this case, we really need private, or a hybrid would function as well. What could be some of the factors that you feel could influence that decision?
Yeah, very good question. So a huge discussion, honestly, that some people they agree, some people they don't agree. One time I was one of the main presenter in a big event, and I
Hmm.
had to present the difference between the hybrid and private and public. And I was happy to see a lot of professionals. They were in the meeting. Some are agreeing with me, some disagreeing with me. So it's really not something that you can take from the shelf and then put it on the table and say, well, this is the way it is and that's it. No, it depends the environment. So let me start
Okay.
with hybrid cloud. Cost wise, if you are talking about an SMB, cost wise is very expensive for them.
Right.
It depends your. So if you have a big environment, definitely, and you have a budget, definitely hybrid will be the best pick for you. When it comes to private or public, also here it all depending on your private cloud, on the way how you feel comfortable with. Me personally, I use private cloud for many reasons. First, the size of the company and the environment, that was something that will force you to go through the cloud that you would like to have. Second is the budget. So
Right.
public cloud nowadays is like very expensive. They charge you for inbound and outbound data. The management service also is very expensive. Again, this is my opinion. I respect all other professionals' opinion, definitely. And if you have a budget, go for it. Some people they sleep better at night when they feel that their data is on AWS or they are with Google or Microsoft. Some people like me, I feel more better than if my data is in a private cloud. It's under even if the vendor is not that big, but at least there's a team behind your environment sitting 24/7 monitoring your environment from any attack, from any suspicious access, whatever happening on your environment. you have a team 24/7 looking after your environment. Versus big companies, we can say yes, there is a big team, but the big team is taking care of millions and millions of environments, not
Yep.
really a small environment. If you want to jump
So
to the
you need
hybrid
someone
one,
large enough to deliver, but yet small enough to care, right? So that
exactly,
would be the
exactly,
ideal
exactly.
combination.
So,
Yeah.
so you have to see your size, though. You have to see your size and go with whatever your size is. That's my opinion. You can have, I'm going to be honest with you, you can have 10 servers and you can go on public, go for it.
Mm.
There's no problem if you budget. But my opinion is not worth it. It's not worth it because it's a small environment. Now, if you have 200 servers, 300 servers, you can do whatever you want with it. You can go on public. But in that case, when it comes a big environment like this, I would rather to go on hybrid. I would rather, if there's a
Right.
budget, I'd rather to invest and go on a hybrid cloud that you can split your servers. Whatever is more critical for you, you keep it on prem, and whatever is really regular solutions, applications that really they don't affect the business much, you put them on the cloud. Like this, you split your environment.
Right. Yes. So you mentioned budget quite a lot. I would tend to agree with you. So I don't know if you've read it, but Basecamp, those guys, their CTO, kind of published a study. So their spend went up to almost 3 million plus a year in 2021 or 2022 when they decided that, hey, we'll just move off AWS and GCP, right? So I was reading up on it, and this year is their first year. I think what you were saying was in 26 when they'll have no spend. So if you look at their data, they spent about 21 million in last 7 years. And he also wrote some numbers which were around 3 4 which he had to spend on an on-prem system. And he was like that I'll recover this money in what, in 3 years or 2 years. And it's the same team size. I have the same team. I haven't added any OpEx on that end. So he did a very thorough comparison on how cloud can get so expensive that people just don't realize. And then the only reason they were, because they started moving in 2021 but 22, but they had to stick with AWS because they had a 4 year binding contract on S3 which they couldn't really get out of, right? So
Exactly.
they were paying
Exactly.
almost $1 million a year for the damn S3 bucket, right?
Yeah,
So yeah,
exactly, exactly.
that's a very, I mean, eye opener and kind of a very thorough good case study on how, on-prem costs. All the cloud companies have been able to really create a marketing where they say we are cheaper when they're not, right? So they have been able to successfully create this perception. It might be cheaper for, 2-person startup, 3-person startup, but not for an organization who's probably spending 4 5 million bucks a year versus they can just get their hardware once in and be able to recover that cost over time, right? So,
A lot of
hmm,
professionals, they say, you know what, I am with AWS, my head is clear. If anything happened, I'm safe. Don't
yes,
forget, 2 weeks ago, AWS was down.
yes. Cloudflare was
So
down no 2 days back. That can happen
so
too,
they
right?
were they had a hiccup. They had a
Yeah,
hiccup and affected many businesses. So there is no guarantee. There is no guarantee that if you go to a public or private, that your head is gonna be less in
correct.
trouble. Not, but yeah, you never know. Every time Microsoft, sometimes they have a lot of hiccups during the day, and
Yes.
then you have Teams not working. You have something happening. So we don't know. We don't know exactly. We cannot predict what's going to happen in the future. It's the way how you feel about your environment, how you feel about your business. You want to save money, or you really want your freedom. It depends. It depends exactly what you really want for your environment.
That's true. In your CIO applications interview, you spotlighted kind of vendor accountability, right? So, how do you think, in what ways business leaders can ensure that their cloud partners support strategy and overall be a right partner, not just the infrastructure side of things?
You're talking about here the partnership
Correct. Yes.
between the professionals and the cloud providers. Well, there's a big role. There's a big role from your side as a professional on what you want to do with your environment, and how you want to protect your environment, and you have to put a strategy with the vendor that you're working with on any recovery, any security breach, or any attack happening. So
Right.
this is really always depending on the strategy that you have to put on the table. So yeah, so here where you have to put the strategy between you and your partner, which is the vendor, put them on the table, put your roadmap on anything coming to security, how to secure your environment, and how to recover when there is a disaster. That's very important. The important
Okay.
thing, because we live in a world where attackers are more than professional. Like you have a lot of attackers than more than professionals. Like even if you have some people, they used to be professionals and they switched to be hackers or attackers and went
Right.
into this, and they know the whole game. They know exactly how it works. They know exactly where to go and how to profit from this experience. So this is where your role is and your experience play here on having a plan B and plan C when things comes to a disaster, and how to recover, how fast you want your business to come back online, how fast you want to recover from all the loss that you made with a specific period of time that will not affect the profit of your employer.
Okay. Typically, I mean, you've worked across many different industries, right? So telecom, be it banking, legal, logistics, and now probably distribution. There are two things that I'd love to understand. One, where do you think typically orgs are bleeding money or cost within their existing environments? A, and B, how do you really, and based on that, what do you think is is a decision that usually organizations get wrong about technology decision making, right? So the process and the process itself and what they can do about it. So kind of three-part question.
Yeah. So let's start with the A. Very interesting question. Every business has its own fruitful interest. If you want to go on the banking sector, we all know that's the most secure sector that has to be, where all the money is and all the investments are. And when it comes to telecommunication, also the taste of their security is way different than the banking sector. So we're talking about security of your network, security of your clients, security of many things. Now shifting to, I work in a law firm. This is another world of security when it comes to
Yes,
all the
I know.
confidential data that you have on the system, which is very critical as well. And then now I am into the retail business, which is also something very critical when it comes to security, when you have all the data of your clients and you have millions of dollars being invested in this company. You're talking about orders, you're talking about transactions, you're talking about identity. So yeah, it's everyone has its own special way of security. Personally, the most critical one that I work for is the banking sector. Banking sector is something that you can't mess
Yep.
around with.
Yep.
You're talking about all the wealth of your clients and
Yep.
people. The second day they want to go to the machine, they just want to grab money out from their account, and if the machine is not working, it's a mess. But again, I cannot separate them because everyone has its own way of security. But yeah, banking will be like the most problematic critical
Mhm.
security environment that you have to work on.
Absolutely. One of the questions was, where do you think do organizations typically bleed money, or they're spending just wrong in terms of technology?
You mean budget wise?
Budget
Budget
wise,
wise,
yes.
how?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In their existing
Uh,
environments, where do you think they're usually bleeding money, which could be, let's say, prevented or
I would say the banking sector is the most sector that invests a lot of money on IT. That was not the case before. So
okay.
26 years before, it was not that very known that banking they're supposed to follow the technology. Now these days, after the bitcoins and after all those technology we have now, and after all these things that coming along into the market, I would say the banking sector is the most sector that need to invest on the security of his clients. Not only
Okay.
this, don't forget, banking sector, they invest in governments, they invest in the war, they invest in the technology, they invest into whatever comes into your head, it comes through the banking sector. So whatever investment that has to go through whatever business you are working for, you have no way not to go through the banking sector, unless now if they change this mentality and they shift to more digital currency that is not really what we have now as 100% fully. So then again, you have to invest more money when it comes to digital currency as well. So that's on the banking side. Second, I would say it's more telecommunication companies
Okay.
that they need to invest a lot on the network and security. Beside clients wise and money and credit cards and accounts, we're talking network here. That any small breach happening in a telecommunication company, they can shut down an entire tower, and you have villages and cities that are out of connection and data. If this is affected, your cloud is not working,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
computer is not working, your phone is not working. So they're gonna paralyze the whole world when it comes to telecommunication.
Right.
Yeah, I
Okay.
would I would say those two sectors are the most critical ones
All
that
right.
you need to invest money with.
So when you kind of started kicking off the modernization process, let's say at Franklin Empire, what did day one look like? Where they were, what was the before and after? I mean, let's talk about the before, and then we can discuss what really changed during the transformation process.
Yeah. So when it comes to modernization, technology, this is across different industries. Okay, it's not only one industry. We're
Right.
talking about in general here. You prioritize the customer experience first. So this is your income. So your customer experience has to be prioritized. Adopting cloud first and API driven architecture, for example, cybersecurity wise and zero trust models, this you have to straighten this. So this is something very important that you have to focus on. Security. Always security comes the main point of any environment, any business, anywhere in the world, security wise. If you can automate the workflow or automate your operations, this
Right.
is also something that you have to take in consideration. Knowledge wise, education wise, have the right team. Have the right team that can lead this the shifting from one to another technology and culture. So you need to invest. You need to invest on good employees, high skilled ones. At least you need two members in your team that they're really top of the edge. So they are really professional people. They know what they're doing.
Okay.
And then you look, if you want to bring some junior employees, then they will learn. But you need to have the main employees that you can count on them. Also, you have to build scalability and resilience. This is something also you have to work on when it comes to your team, to your environment, to your starting your roadmap and starting your projects. This is where you have to look at. Now we have AI, so you need to leverage AI in your environment as well. So this is something
Right.
also that you need to focus on. We can combine them all together, and then it goes to the cloud. So all this has
Right.
to be related to the cloud, whatever your cloud is, if it was
Right.
hybrid or if it was private or
Or
public,
public, whatever.
all
Yeah.
this is linked to your cloud and is linked to where your data is and what are you doing with your data.
So what's the most common excuse you've heard from, let's say, leadership or business unit heads where they're kind of delaying modernization? Anything comes up in mind?
A lot of excuses. A lot of excuses. The most excuse is our system work fine.
Yeah.
I don't want to do nothing. I'm okay with it. I don't want to touch it. That's what I heard when I first came to Franklin Empire, actually. Why
Right.
we need to move to the cloud? Everything is working fine. Why we have to invest money on this one if it's working? When it break, I will change it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Those excuses. And then they have those nightmares that they think if you do any modernization, it's going to be so expensive. So they don't want to
Mm.
just hear about it. But when you break this everything down to them and see that the cost is going to be cheaper sometimes in some cases, and some cases it's going to be even. So then you see their eyes, they pop out and be like, oh, okay, we didn't know this.
So they're
Or
not
some
able
of
to
them.
figure out the ROI. So if you establish the ROI in front of them, that helps you build a case.
Exactly, exactly. So when you share the ROI with them, then they will start to sit on the table and start to think about it. Also, what you hear most is, I don't have professionals in my team. Why I have to go there?
Right.
But this is exactly where you take your decision. Before you take your decision, this is where you decide which one you want to pick. Do you want to pick a private cloud or a hybrid cloud, or you want to go with public cloud? Yes, I understand if
Right.
you go public, you need your experts, people to be in your team. But when you go private, your professional people, you save on employees and you invest them on the private cloud, and they take care of your environment. They are taking care of all the patches and the updates. They are firing up a server, shutting down a server. They're taking care of everything. Instead of hiring someone professional in your team, and then this someone that today is not feeling good to work, or today there's traffic, late to come to the office, those headaches. They are benefits. These are like pros that you have to take in consideration when it comes to the cloud and your environment and your network. People, they always say that my budget is prioritized somewhere else. That's the problem. Problem is that they think IT, it's only a department who spend a lot but doesn't bring an income to the company. That's the problem with IT. And this is where they don't understand that you need to invest on IT for you to be able to bring an income to your company.
Yeah.
That's the problem. They think, oh, you know what, $1 million or $2 million on IT department, but what the IT are bringing me back? I invested on marketing. I invested on salespeople. I invested somewhere else. Yeah, but the marketing cannot work without the IT, and the salespeople cannot be functional without the IT. So if your system is down, no one is able to do anything.
Yeah.
That's the most challenge that we are facing as professionals and leaders with upper management and the company owners or the board of a company. Beside that, some people, they have an excuse that, oh, we tried but we failed as well.
Right.
So we tried to move to the cloud but it didn't work, which is, I don't find this as a convincing excuse, because there is nothing called failure in IT. You have to keep trying and you have to keep moving forward. Otherwise, you're going to be way behind the technology. And last thing that I always hear it in our roundtables or our summits or meetings is we don't have time. We are busy on something else.
Yeah.
They focus on different solution. They focus on something else. We don't have time for this. Keep it as is. So it's very challenging to
Okay.
try to convince other professionals on how to do things and how to move forward with their technology.
So keeping that and keeping all of this in mind, right? So for businesses, leaders who feel overwhelmed, we don't have time, for businesses that are stuck between legacy systems and future needs, that we don't need it, it's working okay, etc. What do you think is the smartest first move to kind of build a momentum towards that change?
Yeah. So the first thing that they have to take in consideration is how the legacy of their system dependency is.
Right.
So they have to check their environment, what is critical and what is not critical. What applications are more critical than other applications. This, they have to sit and try to split their environment on, okay, you know what? If this application is down, the whole entire company cannot work. So this is something critical. And then you have to split in two different tables that, okay, this is the most critical applications that I need to make sure 100% they are safe, they are backed up, and they can recover fast. And then move on the other one if you want to talk budget wise. So if you don't want to really
Right.
go fully 100% on the cloud, one shot. And this is the strategy I used 3 years ago, actually, with my
Okay.
current employer. So what happened is that I kept my ERP, I kept my CRM, I kept my ecom specific servers. I kept them on the public cloud, didn't touch them, make sure everything is fine. And I started to move slowly.
Right.
Servers that if something bad happened, I can still survive without it until I recover.
Right.
After 100%, I'm very confident with the communication between me and the cloud provider. Everything working fine, smoothly. Security wise, everything is well determined and everything is up to date. Connection wise, internet wise, network wise, everything is well configured. Then I moved my critical portion to the same cloud, and it's been 3 years so far. Thank God, not even one hiccup.
Right. So yeah, so standard way of transferring or transitioning some of the systems, getting them there, running two systems in parallel for some time, and
Exactly.
then kind of moving away to
Exactly.
everything. Okay, that's good.
It's all
That's
depending on your budget. It's all depending
Yeah.
on your budget. Now,
Yeah.
if you have a budget and you have a big environment, I will definitely go hybrid. I will not think twice about it. I did this
Right.
huge study about it. I went to many conference about the hybrid environment. You need a big environment.
You
So
need a bigger.
yes, so when it comes to critical applications, you keep them on-prem, and the
Yeah.
rest you put them on the cloud. And
Yeah.
this is how you do the combination between the two. So this
Yeah.
will be the ideal way
Maybe
to
high traffic
start
ones,
your
high traffic intensity ones kind of stay on-prem to save on the cost side as well,
exact
and those kind of
exactly.
things.
But
Yeah,
this,
absolutely.
like I mentioned, this require a big team,
Yeah.
professionals, people who take care of your environment was on the cloud or if it was on-prem. So this is I'm talking about here a big enterprise with a big
Okay.
environment. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it. Joseph, on an ending note, what is the hardest lesson that you have learned, in modernization, if you can recall any?
The hardest lesson is to trust your vendor or
Okay.
your partner. I would say partner because the vendor is my partner.
Okay.
So the hardest period that I went through is you need to trust the person who you are working with and you're putting all your environment under their responsibility.
Okay.
So that's the main key, that you need to build a nice relationship between you and your partners. Make sure that you study well your partner before you move with your partner. Make sure you check the feedback about this partner, listen to all the cons that this partner faced
Okay.
or you join, check all the challenges that this partner went through and how this part, everyone goes through challenges, definitely nobody is perfect. It's just
Yep.
how they recovered from those challenges. This is the most important thing. Security wise is the main key and the
Got it.
main title that you have to secure your environment. Make sure you trust your partner, make sure everything is secured. This is the hardest point, let's say, that you need to work on when you want to do this step,
Got it.
definitely.
So choose your partner wisely, both in life and in IT.
Exactly.
Okay, so on that note, Joseph, I will kind of end it, and it's been a pleasure having you on Tech Unhinged. I really appreciate your time and your candor as well. So it was really an interesting conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure also to share my experience and my expertise with you guys, and hopefully our audience profit from our conversation today.
Absolutely, absolutely.